Hello everyone and welcome back. So this time we're still going through Python and we're learning some about the logic that it has built into it. Now, just like in Excel, Python has the AND, the OR, and the NOT commands we saw previously. Where AND says both have to be true, OR says one of them has to be true for it to print out true, and NOT says, well, if it was true, it's false. If it's false, it was true. Reverses it. Now, the great thing is these aren't functions in Python. They're just little operators. It means you just write them out, and it works. And the great thing is that Python typically makes it read like a sentence. So let's say I have a list, my list right here. And it's got Bob, Allison, and Jim in that list. I have a student named Cindy. And I could say, well, tell me, is student not in my list? Well, that should be true because Cindy's not in my list. You see, it reads like a sentence. And then there's student 2, who's Bob. Is student 2 not in my list? Well, that should be false because Bob is in the list. So right there, true, false. It works. So, reads like a sentence. Now, let's check this. Let's say I have a list and you have a list, and we want to see is Cindy in either one. We're checking in to see if she's not in either of our list. So, student Cindy, not in my list or your list. Okay, so if I run this, I get true. Okay, so student not in my list or your list. She shouldn't be in either list then, right? Right? Okay, well, let's look at this. Well, one of the issues is that this not right here wasn't actually connected to the second section. It was only connected to this first one because it can't go past this first one. So if I want to connect all this to my list and your list, we have to make sure that we put both of them in parentheses. There's other ways to go around it too, but we're just doing it short right now. Okay. So there we go. That was probably the issue. We run it again. Okay, Cindy, you are in these lists, so this should be printing out false. What is going on here? And the issue is that our grammar was wrong. When I read my earlier logic sentence, I said, student Cindy is not in my list or your list. But what I really should have said, my wife is an English professor's daughter, is student is not on my list nor your list. Another way we could write that would have been student is not in our list, student is not in either list, or student is not in my list, and student is not in your list. Okay? Lots of ways to do this. We just had bad grammar. So we could have written this two different ways to make it work. I'm once again checking to see is Cindy in either of these lists, and I don't want her to be, so I'm saying Cindy is not in either of these lists. Okay, so student not in my list and your list. Or if you want to write this out, is student not in my list and student not in your list. So it checks both of these. It checks to see, is the student in my list? If she is, it fails. Is the student in your list? If she is, it fails. And so since it fails one of those, because the student was in your list, it fails. My advice to you is because of the issues with things like this where parentheses might mess you up, write it out completely. If you have multiple things, write the thing out completely and don't try to make it short until you've gotten more practiced with this. So run it, false, false, which is what I wanted to see because she is in one of the lists, so that should be false. So as you can see here, I've got two different criteria and I've combined them with an and. I also have something I'm looking at right here and I'm inverting it using a not. So lots of different things here. We actually went over an and, or, and not. It's always hard to say that in just a simple little example. So all these logical things we write in Python can be read like a sentence, but you just have to make sure that you have good grammar. Otherwise, you will probably mess it up. Okay, well, I hope this helped you. Next time, we're going to jump straight into an example of this. We'll have fun with it. I'll see all of you next time. Bye-bye.